I am solo for 3 days. The missus just left. This is both a great and sad thing. The missus just left on the CVO to go to a work conference up in Orlando. And it's got challenges. It means I'm like Mr. Mom for a couple days, but that's okay. Take care of your babies, boys. You know, be a daddy. Anyway, so I've got my little one to myself for 3 days, which will be fun. We're gonna do all the things Mom doesn't let us do. Haven't figured out what those are yet, because she kind of lets us do whatever. But she's off on the bike for a 500-mile trip. So she rides more than I do these days, let's just be honest, because all I do is work here crazy hours and take care of the little one. All right, so I just was sent a link by a brother, and it got me thinking all kinds of great stuff. So let's talk about, first off, the worst biker I've ever met. So what started me on this path was down the rabbit hole is my brother Limo sent me a link today just saying interesting with a YouTube link. Now normally what that means in my experience is it's a video of someone going, I hate professional monkey. Like, you know, like that's normally that's what it is. It's a video just talking trash, and there's just so many of those out there. But I clicked this link, and it's Shaggy's MC culture. He's a 1%er out of Illinois. And I'm like, oh no, Shaggy didn't like me? This is just my assumption. And I couldn't be furthest from the truth. This was a 22-minute long video of Shaggy just, you know, sharing his thoughts and feelings, talking to the camera about what he's seen going on YouTube and respect and ego and this, that, and the other, but in a positive sense. And I sat there and I watched that man talk for 23 minutes, something I don't, you know, do very often. Because you can't, I have the attention span of a squirrel, you know, it's hard to keep me focused. And I'm like, man, I love this dude. Like, I mean, like, I just sat there and listened to every word he said, super positive, gave tons of like positive shout outs to YouTube creators he liked, actually mentioned me in a positive way, so no negativity at all. And I was like, oh, I'm blown away by that. Because I know the club he's a part of, they're legit is the mild way of saying it. Anyway, so it was just great to hear a dude sit there and say, let's have some fun together as different clubs and organizations, and maybe not take ourselves so seriously all the time, and you know, have some drinks. And he actually said specifically, let's go have some races and do something like an old gypsy run. And I was like, oh, I love this dude. Like, anyway, so Shaggy's MC culture, I'll put a link down there specifically to the video, but good channel, man. I like this guy a lot. Anyway, and it got me thinking of, he was talking about how we, as people who live in the club life, again, my organization's an MO, we're not an MC, but how we can come together and have a good time. And a couple examples, in 2 weeks, what's today's date? 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, a local club here in Florida, in South Florida, it's their annual. Now, if you don't know what an annual is, it's just it's their birthday party. Let's just call it that. And I'm not making light of things, I'm being serious. It's a big, important day to a club, and it's where they go to either their clubhouse or a bar or a you know, some sort of location, and they have a party celebrating each other, and they invite all the clubs, normally, at least that's the way it is down here, to come together and have a good time together. And it makes you really thankful that we have the culture that we do in South Florida, because we just, as a family of clubs and organizations down here, just don't tolerate, you know, attitude. You know, like when the signs always say no attitudes, no this, that, and the other, we mean it. Like, let's just have a good time, you know? Doesn't mean that there aren't conflicts here and there and somebody gets bent out of shape every once in a while, of course, but for the most part, we get along real well. I mean, and I get excited when you see people from certain clubs, right? You get to run up and say, hey, how you doing? What's going on? You know, and chat for a while. And neighbors. Sorry, I had the daily sitcom across the street. So, just to make you giggle for a minute, living in South Florida, you get to know the Cuban culture. I'm assuming Cuban because they're yelling all the time. And anyway, it just makes me think back to when I used to sit and watch, you know, TV with my father-in-law, and he would say, I don't know why Pacino got a thought like that, man. I don't thought like that, man. I don't know what it is. And I'm like, are you doing a Scarface impression right now? And he's like, like a cockroach. No, he never said cockroach. That's me being stupid. That was like, that's that stereotype. Pacino's a perfect Cuban in Scarface. Anyway, so the neighbors were like, gotta move the car, man. I don't know. I thought, you know. Anyway, so sorry. I digress. But, so that annual is coming up in 2 weeks. It's going to be a perfect example of a bunch of clubs coming together and having a good time. I mean, a good, like, to the point to where I'm already thinking, well, where they're having it's pretty close to my mother-in-law's house. May have to crash on the couch that night there. Because these boys, they know how to have a good time. And I'm not going to say the name of the club because that would be tasteless. But God, I love these boys to death. They're good people, and I'm looking forward to hanging out with them and everyone else that comes to their annual. And there will be no attitudes and no issues because that's just how we roll down here. But the real topic of today, besides giving a shout out to Shaggy and going, man, I appreciate it, what you did today, and it's just a great video, and I hope everyone goes and watches it because he's positive and he's right. I mean, I agreed with every single thing the man had to say. But it also had me think, the flip side of that is, the missus isn't here to share this. We were gonna do this video together, but we kept putting it off. We met the worst biker. I mean, the king of bad bikers. We met this dude. Shouldn't even call him a biker. Motorcycle enthusiast. We met this guy. And as a matter of fact, he took this picture. So he was holding the camera. So me and the missus went to Bridalveil Falls on the way to Spearfish. So in Spearfish Canyon. Beautiful place to stop, a little waterfall. You know, you take your little kiss and do your Instagram photo and all that stuff. You have a good time. And we're there, and we are wearing our cuts as we do all the time when we're in Sturgis. And what happened was, another little Cubanism, my wife, who has to talk to everybody, compliments this lady on her hat. Says, like your hat. She's wearing like a little leather, you know, top hatty kind of thing, bowler hat kind of deal like you see at rallies. And she had just gotten it, obviously. And so, I like your hat. She's like, oh, thanks. I don't know. So her old man, just out of nowhere, turns to the missus, I'm like right here, I'm right there, and says, is that a real club? Okay, that's a bad way to start a conversation. Like, that's just not how you say hello. Is you go like, is that a real club? And the missus is like, real as you are, buck. Like, just like, the missus has got a forked tongue, like, you know. And because he was standing there and wearing a vest, not a cut, nothing on it. I mean, slick, nothing, which is fine. I'm not judging that. But on what planet is that how you talk to somebody? He then proceeds, we are like, yeah, it's real. I told him, like, who it is, we empower kids, not be afraid of the world they live in. You know, they've been abused and, you know, yeah, been around for 30 years, motherfucker. You know, like, it's what I'm thinking. I'm like, I'm mad, but at the same time, I'm trying to just set him on the straight and narrow. And then he says, oh yeah, he now breaks the next cardinal rule. And boys and girls, if you're watching this, I guarantee you know this, but this guy says, I know your founder. Some of you just fell out of your chair. He name dropped. That's something you'd never that's like cardinal 10 commandment, you don't name drop. If you know someone, if you're talking to somebody who's part of a club, and you know someone who's a member of their club, don't say it. Just don't. It's called name drop. You don't name drop. You don't say, oh, I know Killer Bill, whatever his road name is, and they're gonna go, what? Because now you're speaking on the behalf of Killer Bill. You don't have the right to do that, so you shouldn't have said that. You just don't name drop. You don't say, I know this person, I know that person, because you're trying to borrow on their chips in the bucket of which you have none, and you shouldn't be doing that. So just don't name drop. Anyway, I know your founder. He's out of California. I said, huh, I know our founder too, and he's out of Utah. So he's, first off, he's just either full of crap or wrong about who he thought the founder was, which makes name dropping even worse when you're wrong about the person you're talking about. So, is that a real club? Of which we're not a club, we're an MO. I know your founder, he's out of California. First off, you don't know our founder, he's out of Utah. Then he says, I did consulting work for you guys. What? And he says, yeah, I train people on how to present and how to sell, and I went in and I taught you guys. This is the words he used. I taught you guys. I taught you guys how to present and stuff, because you know I know how to do that, and you guys needed help. Kept saying you guys, and I actually said the words, motherfucker, I don't need help with nothing. Like, you know, I know what I'm doing. So you didn't train me. You didn't train. No, you didn't. Oh well, you know, maybe it was somebody else. Like, I'm like, who is this clown? Like, I'm literally going, hidden camera. This has got to be like Ashton Kutcher's going to come out and I'm being punked. This isn't really happening. Is that a real club? I know your founder. I taught you guys. You know, like, just went down the road. What else did he say? He said something else too. I think he said something to the missus about being a backseat or something, and that's fine if you are. I really don't disrespect the whole two-up riding thing. It's to each their own. As long as you're riding, who cares? But he said something presumptuous like being a backseat. She's like, that's one thing you don't do. For certain, when it comes to women riders, if you ride two-up, again, I will say again, nothing wrong with that. Fantastic. I love that you're riding together. Have a good time. It's great. But if a woman has chosen to learn to ride and get her own bike and wrench on her own bike and has decided to do that and go, you know, a little further and has chosen to get her own bike, don't assume she's a backseat and don't disrespect her, much less, you know, the missus who in my organization, women are in patches. And so she is a member just like I am and anybody else, and she's Cuban and she'll cut you. I mean, like, if not verbally, physically. So he said something else too about backseating or something like that, and she was just like, motherfucker, like, you know, like. So we walked away, and I'm sure within earshot, we got 2 steps away, and we're both like, that schmuck's a video, like that guy right there. And I imagine he's dead. I mean, I imagine he walked up to someone else. Is that a real club? You know, like, and that was that was his last day on earth. Because I just can't imagine you walking around saying stuff like that to people. I don't get. I didn't haul off and scream or whatever, but I left with him knowing that we were not friends, you know, that kind of thing. But yeah, so the worst biker on earth going up and saying that a real club, disrespecting the missus, claiming to have an affiliation with the founder, because that's what you're doing. That it was wrong, wouldn't even write about what state they're in, then claiming to have done work for it. Like, it just, I can't imagine doing that. This guy, I don't know what planet he lives on, but it ain't Earth. But, so yeah, so, in retrospect, calling back to Shaggy, thanks, man. That was a great video. Not that you need my thanks, but it was good stuff, and I will pay way more attention to the channel and be watching it regularly, because I started going back and watching his older videos. They're great. So, yeah, so that's it. Hope you're all doing well. Me and the little, and I'm sure will get in trouble. We'll be eating candy and pizza 3 meals a day for the next 3 days. That's the plan. Screw those bars. I'll let you in on that. Not happy with the LA Choppers tree huggers, because they don't hug nothing, much less a tree. What they do is move around. Yeah, that's just, you know, even with new bushings and tighten down, they just go like a damn rowing machine. Sorry. I'm unhappy with them. But that's it. That's for another video. We'll talk real soon. Take care of each other out there. Bye.